Hey everyone, I'm back. Let's see, what is this, video number 4, I think. And this one might be one of my favorite videos to do because so many things that that I've learned along the way. Because when you pump milk, you get to see what the milk actually looks like, and it's kind of weird. But anywho, so something that all women produce, regardless of if your baby was early or late or right on time, induced, C-section, or natural spontaneous labor, is called colostrum. Colostrum is really fun and interesting, honestly. You can even produce colostrum prior to the baby being born. With my first, I started producing it around 14 weeks, and with my second, I started producing it about 5.5 weeks. Some women don't even notice if they produce it prior. Some women don't produce it prior, and some women produce it more towards like the 3rd trimester. But don't be alarmed. You can fall anywhere from not doing it to doing it right out of the gate. It doesn't mean anything about your milk supply. It's just what your body does. And after all, we're all made differently, so none of us are going to be the same. Colostrum is yellow, though. It's kind of hard to tell in the video here. Let's see if I can get it better. It's a little bit harder, but I'll share this photo on the page. But colostrum is yellow. So once baby is born, colostrum is all baby gets until your milk comes in. And it is really pretty neat. So something to think about is baby's not real hungry when baby's born. And the reason for that is because baby just worked his tail off going through labor. So they'll latch, but it's okay. They're not going to eat a whole lot. They're going to sleep a lot the first 12 to 24 hours. No sweat, But colostrum is all a baby needs until your milk comes in. Colostrum is like a pre-milk. It's loaded full of goods. So I recommend collecting as much of it as possible. For example, like I've mentioned before, use a haka. Attach that sucker. Use the collection cups. Collect what you can, and you'll thank me later. Because whatever you can collect, either A, feed it back to baby, like feed it to baby, spoon feed it to baby, just to really help. If your baby has jaundice, it'll help flush out the jaundice. Both of my babies had jaundice, so I had to spoon feed all the colostrum back to my babies. Something else colostrum's awesome for is if your baby gets a cold, give your baby some colostrum if you have some left over. It is really, really amazing stuff. After about 3 to 5 days on average, your milk will come in. Some women, if it's like your 2nd or 3rd child, you might notice your milk comes in at like 2 days, if not a little bit sooner. Again, we're all made totally different, so don't use that as like oh, my milk's not in at 2 days. No, it's okay. It's okay. With my first, she was born on Tuesday night, and I remember sitting in on my living room floor on a Saturday morning. So what is that? Almost 5 days later. And then I just started leaking like a faucet. And I was like, oh, milk came in. So 5 days with my first. My second, it came in at 3 days. So it really is different for every woman and every child that you have. From there, take probably another week to 2 weeks for the colostrum to totally be out of your system. So your milk will be not as bright yellow as colostrum is, but it also won't be a normal milk color. It'll still be like a yellowy color for about a week to 2 weeks afterwards. That stuff is also gold. There's a reason they call breast milk liquid gold. It literally looks like gold. It is awesome stuff. When all this COVID stuff started, I thankfully had some colostrum saved up. So I gave my little guy, I just mixed, like an ounce or 2 throughout the day into his bottles just to give him a little extra nutrition, you know, a little extra antibodies, the good stuff. Anytime he was sick, if he wasn't kicking a little cold within a few days, he's getting a full, I do it one time a day, he'd get a full like 3-ounce bottle of straight gold. When he started back to daycare from being off for 2 months, same thing. I started giving him a little bit of that in his milk every day, and that was really helpful, I think, because he didn't get sick. I even gave it to my toddler when she was sick. So, yeah, it's good stuff. So back to the milk. Once your milk fully transitions to actual milk, it will look very, very similar to 2% whole milk, skim milk, whatever. It will have that white color. But sometimes you will notice that you have 2 different colors, a bluish color and a white color. And you're like, what's up with the blue milk? I got to throw it out. Don't throw it out. Don't do it. It's called foremilk. Milk is made up of 2 different kinds of milk, foremilk and hind milk. Foremilk is the first part of the milk. It's very watery and it's filled with lots of nutrition. Hind milk is where all the fat is. And that comes at the end of the nursing or pumping session. So if your baby has a lot of frothy diapers, you know, smells really bad, really bubbly and grody, which FYI, breast milk baby poos are gross anyways. But if it smells different than a regular poop, your baby's probably getting a lot of foremilk. So if you're nursing, instead of switching baby from one side to the other really quick, let baby sit on one side for longer. Roughly 15 to 20 minutes a side is really what they say. A lot of gals I have heard, though, can drain, you know, if your baby's extra excited, might be able to drain one side in 10 minutes, and that is fine. All I'm saying is, you know, don't switch every 5 minutes. You know, ride it out a little bit. That way you can get that hind milk, because remember, hind milk has fat in it, and your babe does need fat as much as they need the nutrition from the foremilk. If you are a pumper or you're saving your milk, if you leave it in the fridge, it will separate. You'll notice at the bottom is like a bluer or even just a clearer looking milk, while the top is like a thicker, creamier looking milk. It's okay. Shake it up, feed it to baby. If you're going to portion it out, shake it up, then portion it. That way everything is mixed up real well. It used to be a saying that you couldn't shake the milk because you'd shake the nutrition out of it. Recent studies have shown you actually need a cement mixer to shake the nutrition out of it, and none of us can do that. Hey, Katie. So don't worry about that. Give it a good shake. Also, at the top, you might notice that you'll get a lining. That's the fat. It's okay. Again, shake it up until that comes off of there. No sweat. Don't worry about it. It's just fat. It's good stuff. You're making those babies nice and plump. It's so awesome, isn't it? Your body is actually, not only did you make those babies, but you're feeding those babies. I find breast milk absolutely amazing. I've learned so much over the course of almost 3 years now between my 2, and it's freaking awesome. With my first, I was like, oh, breast milk, you know, whatever. And people used to joke like, oh, just put some breast milk on it if you get a cut. No, for real. It's like a superpower that women have. I've honestly put breast milk on like pimples and stuff like that. My son when he's little, he'd get eczema. I'd give him milk baths. A lot of people like to do milk baths for the sake of photos. I'd do it for his eczema, which, FYI, a milk bath is not straight up milk. It's just adding a couple ounces to their bath, you know. So if you are, or you do consider yourself an underproducer or a just enougher, that's okay. You know, a couple ounces is okay. Don't stress it. You know, you don't need, 30 ounces for a bath. It's okay. An ounce or 2 will help with the eczema or dry skin. What was it called? Cradle cap. Help with cradle cap. And it really does, like I said, work with cuts and things like that. So back to milk. give it a shake, and you'll mix it up. I am going to be sharing photos of my personal milk. I have a photo of my very first time catching colostrum in one of the collection cups versus using a pad. And I thought that was really neat, and it's something I said to my mom because I was like, "Oh my gosh, look! I've already made use of this collection cup." And then I have a photo that was during my weaning process where I was only pumping, I think it was 2 times a day at that point. And remember, I am an oversupplier, so please don't use the amount that I've pumped as your point of achievement or not. My amount is different than your amount, and your amount is different than the next gal's amount, and we all pump different amounts or produce different amounts. And that's solely off of how many milk ducts does your body have, and how large are your milk ducts. You know, how much can they each store. So I'm going to share those photos so that you can visually see the difference between a colostrum and milk, and then hind milk and fore milk. I think that's really important to know the differences between them so that you don't freak out and throw away perfectly good milk. Something I touched base on yesterday was strawberry milk. You might hear that expression sometimes, and that's because you get a little bit of your blood in the milk. And that could be because either you got a cut on your nipple, maybe baby bit your nipple, maybe your flange sizes are too small, maybe you had a clog, so you pulled milk, or you pulled some blood out during that clog, or mastitis. There could be blood in your milk for multiple reasons. Don't be alarmed. It's okay. Unless you're pumping straight up blood, you know, where you got bright red in your bottle, be alarmed then, you know, and call your doctor. But if your milk is just tinted pink, it's okay. You can feed that to baby. And if you need help just calming your nerves a little bit, remember that if your baby was nursing, you wouldn't know if baby was getting strawberry milk or not. It's totally okay. Personal preference though too, because I did pull out strawberry milk one time with my first, and it totally freaked me out. I didn't know what it was, never heard of it, and I just couldn't fathom feeding that to her. So I tossed mine. But again, personal preference. Some women report having like blue or green milk due to certain vitamins they might be on, or even orange milk. Again, due to certain vitamins you're on, or maybe it's a diet you're on, just the way your body reacts. Another topic for milk, alcohol. Because frankly, some of us like to have a drink on occasion. You know, maybe it's an anniversary, maybe it's just a hard day in general, maybe you just enjoy having a drink. That's, again, going to be personal preference, and I recommend that you call your doctor, your OB, and ask your OB or your pediatrician what they recommend, because they do sell test strips that you can test your milk. My husband and I had discussed it, and neither of us felt totally confident in knowing how accurate those test strips were. So we always just saved my milk. If I did have a drink, we'd save my milk for like a milk bath. That way it didn't go to waste, and we both still felt confident. Because we also called my OB, because my pediatrician was like, nope, I'm not weighing in on it, call your OB. So we called my OB, and my OB said they wanted 2 pumps after having a single drink. That's what they recommended to make sure it's totally out of your system. But then you talk to other gals, and other gals say if you feel safe to drive, then you can feed your baby. Again, personal preference. Do with that as you will. That's not something that I've ever felt comfortable with, and that's okay that I don't feel comfortable with it. Maybe you do. To each their own, you know. I personally think that what I'm putting in my body, you know, needs to be a reflection of what's going into my baby's body. So, like I said, I've always erred on the side of caution. Your milk, you can keep your milk out, fresh pumped milk, or freshly collected in your collection cups. You can keep that out. Some women say 6 hours flat. Some other studies are saying 6 to 8 hours. I've always stayed closer to the 6 hours, but I'm talking fresh right off the tap. Leave it on the counter at room temp. That is safe to feed to your baby. If you pull it out of the fridge, you got 1 hour. You know, so make sure you're being conscious of that. Same goes for when you warm it up. You know, you got 1 hour from the time you've warmed it up. If you're pulling it out of your fridge and you're putting it into the lunch pail with an ice pack, you know, it's still a fridge, so it's okay. But if for whatever reason you get sleepy and you forgot that you already warmed up a bottle and it's sitting on the counter and you discover it 4 hours later, save the bottle. Don't feed it to baby unless, like I said, unless it was fresh pumped and you forgot it on the counter. I would save it for a milk bath. I really would. Or some women I've heard make lotions and even chapstick out of it. There's that too if you're crafty. I personally am not crafty in that arena. So, yeah. Anyways, if you got any more questions on breast milk, there's lots to learn on it. I'm happy to chat more on it. If there's a subject that we just covered that you wanted more elaboration on, text me, message me, or excuse me, not text me. Message me or comment and let's chat. Be sure to like and share with all your friends because we're doing this, ladies. We are sharing the knowledge, mom to mom, and we're being each other's libraries of knowledge, right? All right, ladies, have a good one. Bye-bye.